All right, so it's 8:05. I was taking a look at the date. So 8:05, I have to start the class. I'm sure you're going to be joining soon, Gina, but as you do it, I'm going to give the introduction for the fifth class that is today's. Well, we have actually two very simple lessons. One is something that I'm pretty sure that you know. And the other one is reviewing something that we already covered, that is the present perfect in contrast to the simple past. But we're going to compare them side to side, all right, in one specific chart. That's going to be to reinforce and to be sure that that's clear. And mainly, perhaps we're going to be working on some writing. But I'm going to start with ability then. This is the first lesson for today. Okay, so here we are. Now, what is ability, right? It's something complex, perhaps, to explain. It's something that you learn, right? That is related to certain skills. For example, when you are related to a musical instrument and you know how to interact with that instrument and you are able, right? You have the capacity, you have the ability, right? We have to use those words, but you have the knowledge, right? The technical knowledge and the theoretical knowledge to interact with that object. So that is going to be an ability, right? It involves many things, but of course, here we're not to define that. But we have to know that if we want to talk about that, the ability to do something, we use these words, right? Can, could, and be able to. All of them, the three of them, are used to talk about ability. Okay? Now, we know this because we mentioned models. We know that after every model, we always use the base form of the verb, right? That's something very simple. We know that. So, well, it's just reinforcing that and in order not to forget that it works in this way. Affirmative, the model; negative, the model plus not. And the question, right, it always involves the idea of inverting. Okay, that's key when understanding the usage of models, and actually in not just in models, right? In most of the English structures, we follow inversion for questions. Okay, now let's understand little by little, well, the difference between these words, because of course there's difference between can, could, and be able to, and mainly it's related to tense, but not always, because some actually, yeah, can and could, you're going to see that at least we have two cases in which they can be used in the same tense. So that's not going to be the difference. But how flexible some of these words are and the specific situations in which you use them, that's going to make the difference. So can, we know this, it's a pretty simple model. I believe it's the first model that everyone learns, and it's ability for present or for a specific future ability. Okay, I mean, it's present because it's actually something that you got. It's a characteristic that you got. If you can play the piano, you have that ability. So if you have that, it's your characteristic. But we say a specific future ability because it's only referring to a specific thing that, all right, in this case, you are going to be able to do, but in the future. So here we have two examples, one for present and the other one for a specific future. I can play the piano, right? That's the basic example. I think I said it before, every day, right? It doesn't change. It's not that now, but not yesterday, but not tomorrow. No, right? You can play the piano, you can play it. You could yesterday, you can now, and you will be able to do it yesterday. Now, I can travel next week. You're talking about something that you will be able to do at a specific time. In this case, next weekend. All right, that's again very important to understand that the idea of saying future with can is that it's very specific. I can drive you home tonight. That's another thing related to a specific future, but isn't because it's not an ability, a present ability that you got. No, it's just a very specific ability or possibility for future. Then you have could. Mhm. Could very easily can be identified as the past of can, right? That's pretty simple. Could, in this case, is the past of can. We know that could has different meanings. We're not going to take a look at those meanings now. Why? Because they are not related to ability. They are related to possibility. Okay, so that being the case, could, we use could for past ability with a specific past time expressions. So I could play the piano when I was a child, right? It's not that you can play the piano now. That's not the idea. Is that you could play the piano in the past. When exactly? When you were a child, right? What's the logic here is that I didn't practice, so I forgot how to play it, right? So that's why you don't have that ability anymore, or at least not in the same level, right, as you got in the past when you were a child. Then he could jump higher 2 years ago. I don't know, right? Many things change, and among those many things that change, you have, for example, physical differences. So, for if you take a look at this, it explains very interestingly that he gained weight, some weight. So, as a consequence, right? Thus, he can't jump high. Okay, that's the idea, or as high as he was able to jump in the past. Okay, so that's why, again, this is a past ability because we cannot do this anymore. He cannot do this anymore. He was able to do it, he could do it, but it is not the case right now. Okay, and that's good. Very simple. Then we got be able to. All right, be able to is referring to, again, ability, but as I told you, some of them can be used in the same tenses as we mentioned before. So that's not the main difference. Be able to can be the three tenses that we know, right? Past, present, and future. Okay, so this is past, present, and future ability. Of course, it is more common to use it in past and in future, but you got it for the three tenses. So here be has to be conjugated, right? We don't say I be able to, right? We say I am able to, he is able to, we are able to. Okay, so that's the logic of conjugation. And we say I was able to play the piano when I was a child. So same as could. Okay, here the idea is exactly the same. This is a past ability. I was able to play, I could play. Same. The piano when I was a child. I am able to read a book in English, right? That's something that you can do, but usually you say I can read a book in English, or I'm able to do this. And will be, this is very special actually. I would say that this is the main characteristic of this one, because you have can for present, you have could for past, and can is for a specific future, but actually is not for future itself. I mean, in the sense of a future possibility or ability, as we have in this specific slide. So when we say I will be able to travel to Europe next year, it's not like I can travel to Europe next year. It's again very detailed, and it's way more common to say I will be able to if you're talking about future ability. Okay, this is the real future ability with be able to. And remember, not only will, you have more forms of future or with future, right? And I'm taking a look at the cell phone just in case something happened, actually, but I'm with a different number here. Um, but okay, one more time. To recap, we use be able to when we want to talk about present, when we want to talk about past, when we want to talk about future. If it's past, we say I was able to, or you were able to plus the base form, of course, right? And you say, I was able to do this action in the past, or you were able to do this other action also in the past. In present, of course, I am able to, he is able to, they are able to. All right, that being the case, once again, well, we know how that works. Again, I just want to verify that I'm in the right okay, in the right session. Sometimes it happens, perhaps I'm in a different one and you were waiting here. No, this is the, yeah, the 8 to 9. This is the one. Then we got that one. We don't need this one. I don't know why it's still here. Okay, that's weird. Okay, because I deleted that, the other one. But yes, this is the one. Again, I'm going to finish right explaining this, then I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to check also here if you sent any message or something happened. But actually, yes, I finished this be able to. So give me a second. I'm going to see what happened. I'm just, okay, give me a second because I need this to work fast. So I'm still here, right? I'm checking WhatsApp just to see what happened. Yeah, no, you didn't send any message. So I think perhaps something happened. But anyways, right, we have to continue working. Well, let's go back to our work. All right, and there you go. And here we are. Sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, I think. I'm going to do it. I'm turning on my camera also. Okay, so again, I was just checking just in case. I thought that a message was sent. But anyways, right, I have to cover these lessons 2 or even 3 because as we have 2 short lessons, I wanted to spend the time practicing. If that's not going to be the case, then I'm going to record the 3 lessons for you because they are very simple. And again, we are repeating the same lesson to reinforce because that's what Pearson asks us to do. And as I'm doing that, again, we're going to perhaps tomorrow work on something different. But again, we're covering everything we have to cover. All right, I'm following Pearson's, let's say, program for our course. Now, those are the 3. And we got this. So again, we're going to go to the next one. Remember, can or present and a very specific future. It has to be very specific. Then you have past with could. Right? I could do this at a specific time in the past. And you have be able to for present, past, and future. It's more common in past and in future, but in this case, it's going to be more important to know the future conjugation, because even though can be used also, right? Can be used in future, it is not the real conjugation for future, right? The real conjugation of ability in future, it is what? It is, well, be able to with will or be going to. So that's ability or that was ability. Now I'm opening the one that I told you. All right, there you go. Now again, remember, we already covered this. This is just comparing simple past and present perfect, right? The difference between I went and I have gone, right? She has eaten that before, or she ate this yesterday. Of course, so we can identify, right? We can realize that there is a difference, of course, between those 2. And we talked about that. We put emphasis on the difference. But here we're going to compare them in a chart, as I mentioned before. So it says contrast time, the present perfect simple versus the past simple or simple past. So I'm going to start reading. And we're gonna do it this way. So present perfect simple. Unfinished actions that started in the past and continue to the present. Okay, that's very important. Unfinished. And they continue to the present. That's not happening with the simple past, okay? It happens with the present perfect. So, for example, it says, I've known Julie for 10 years. I still know her. Okay, so I've known this person in the past until now. It's not finished, it is unfinished. Then you got finished actions for the simple past. We know that. So I knew, right? And it's just finished actions, not unfinished. Finished. I knew Julie for 10 years. But then she moved away and we lost touch. All right? It means that it's not true anymore. It's not happening anymore. It's not part of the present anymore. It is something that finished. And in that case, we use the simple past or past simple. Then we got the next part. Okay, that's one. Here we have two finished actions in the present perfect and in the simple past. But what's the difference? Look, in the present perfect simple, it says a finished action in someone's life when the person is still alive, life experience. Okay, when you talk about experience, we mentioned that we use the present perfect. Okay, something that has happened, but we don't say when. All right, remember, we don't say when. And in this case, you're just describing the experience of this specific person. And as this person is still alive, this situation, this experience can change, right? And if it can change, then again, the present perfect simple is the best idea. So my mother has been to Mexico 3 times. Okay, so we know that that action has happened 3 times, but we don't know when first, okay? We don't know when, and we are implying the idea of the brother, of course, being alive and being able to, well, change that situation once again. In the second part for the simple past, it says, a finished action in someone's life when the person is dead. My great grandmother went to Mexico 3 times. Okay, something that happened, it cannot change anymore because of this situation, right? The person is dead, that's radical. But again, anytime you want to be specific, well, in terms of these elements, because remember, both are finished actions, but you have to be specific in the sense of, is this still going to change? Present perfect. Is this not going to change? It was something that happened and period. Then the simple past. Okay, those are the first two. Then we have a third one. Okay, sorry. I've been with a lot of things. I'm actually very tired, but let's continue. Okay, a finished action with a result in the present. Again, very similar to the first one, but in this case, it is finished. Okay, so it's not like in the first one, it's unfinished related to the present. No, this is a finished action, and the result of that action can be still be seen, right, in the present. So I've lost my keys. The result is that I can get, all right, in my house now. So I've lost my keys. That happened, that finished, right? You lost them. But present perfect because why? We can see the result in the present, okay, of that action. But if you analyze what happens with the simple past, it's the same idea, a finished action, but there's no result in the present. It happened in the past and it finished in the past. Okay, so for example, it says with no result in the present, I lost, right? No, I've lost. I lost my keys yesterday. It was terrible. Now there's no result, right? I got new keys yesterday. So this problem was already solved yesterday, and there's no connection with today. All right, so if that's the case, then, well, you know which one you have to use, right? Present perfect or simple past. And finally, one more time, we got unfinished action for the present perfect. All right, when the time word is related to not the present, but it can have a connection with the present, right? When you say, for example, that this week, we can talk about a period of time, right, during that week that already happened and it's in the past. But this week can still be present, or this week can be even future, right? So you have, when you have that connection, that implied connection between present and past, then the present perfect is a good idea. For example, I've seen John this week. All right, that's one thing. And again, the connection is over there. But we have finished time word last week, last month, yesterday, because we know that it happened already. All right. So again, it's kind of the same if you analyze, but you have different specific situations in which you identify one of them as the best option. All right. And actually, we are finishing with that, this part of the review. Now we have one more thing to do, but actually before, I'm going to send no, not send, I'm going to show these expressions. So the ones on the left, right, present perfect, of course, they are expressions for the present perfect. Not every time just can be used with simple past. Okay, never can be used with simple past. So some of them can be used for also. It's not just for present perfect, but they are ideal for the present perfect. And for the simple past, you have specific time expressions, right? That's it. So just, right? I have just arrived here. Okay, we don't know exactly, but we know that it happened recently. It's a past event connected with the present in a certain way, or we can see the results, right? But there is a certain connection, so present perfect. I have just arrived. Yet for negative, right? I haven't gone there yet. I haven't gone there yet. Never, affirmative idea with a negative meaning. I have never, oh, right, sorry. I have never bought, right? Bought, I don't know, right? Soccer ball. Okay, I have never bought a soccer ball. So again, negative meaning, but it's I have never. But we know, of course, that that never is giving it a negative, right, connotation. Then ever for questions mainly, right? Have you ever, right? Have you ever, I don't know, been to Europe? So far, up to this point, or up to now, those two are the same. So, right, what have you done so far? Or I've, let's say something like, I've read 3 books so far. Okay, let's say again, one example, or up to now. It means up to this point, that is the present, what has happened. So we use the present perfect in most of the cases. Then recently, of course, something recent. Okay, then you have since and for a period of time, and we know how to use those. So right, since last week, since January, since a specific starting period of time, but we don't know actually when it finished. It's just an action that happened, that has happened, but again, we don't have more information. And you have after since, you have for, right? I've been there for I don't know how many times. Okay, so again, if that is the case, if that's the logic behind everything, we well, we know how this works, and we use these elements for the present perfect and these elements over here for the simple past. And there you go. Okay, so one more time, again, if you analyze these two presentations, I'm going to cover a third one now. These two presentations are very easy to get. you know and you have this knowledge. But anyways, I have to reinforce that by covering this, even though it's shortly. I have to cover this. And well, I hope you can watch this class. It's going to be very important to watch it. And well, actually, if you're going to be watching this and listening to this, of course, you're watching the class, right? But I hope you do it. That's for me. Okay, I'm saying that for me. A possession. Okay, let's go to possession. Okay, so today we finish with this. This is the last lesson we cover today. One very short lesson we can, could be able to. One review that we already covered, right? The present perfect and the differences, right, between the simple past and that present perfect simple. And now possessive pronouns. And this is also pretty simple, short, but it is important to review, and it is important that this is clear. Okay? Now, here we can take a look at the two types of possessives that we got related to one another. We have the adjective, okay, the possessive adjective, and we got the possessive pronoun. So which one is the adjective? Which one is a pronoun? Right? You know that the adjective is like a description part of something, and here we don't have that specifically. So we know that my is describing pencil because it's talking about possession, all right? That being the case, we know that my is the adjective, all right, the possessive adjective, and mine is the possessive pronoun, all right, pronoun. So that is my pencil, adjective. That is mine, pronoun. Because I'm replacing, what do I do with a pronoun? I kind of replace or substitute one thing, right? You can substitute a person, right, in a job position, or you can substitute here a word, and it represents that word. So that is my pencil, and that is mine, same. It is her laptop, it's hers, same, right? Mainly here you want to save some space, but just because you have that, and it's important to know this, then those are your shoes, those are yours. Okay, so far we have my, we have hers, and we got yours. Okay, and you see the pattern, right? Not with the first one, but with the second one, hers, and then yours. All right, those are these possessive pronouns that we have to know. Okay, we gotta know. Let's go to the next one. I don't know if I'm going to use this. Okay, so possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns replace the object, right? That is mine, but what? What are you talking about? A pencil, a laptop, all right? Anything that you can, well, again, it depends, right? What you are going to replace. So that is my, for example, cell phone, or you can simply say that's mine without saying cell phone. You cannot say, right, that's mine cell phone. That's incorrect. If you want to use or mention the object, don't use possessive pronouns. Use possessive adjectives. So that is mine, that is, or this is hers, and it is theirs. All right, and once again, that being the case, we can see that we don't use the object, that we directly use what? The pronoun that is replacing the object. So the possessive pronouns are, down below you have it, mine, yours, his, hers, ours, and theirs. Okay, those are possessive pronouns that we got. One more time, mine, yours, his, hers, ours, theirs, and so on, okay, etc. Knowing that, we can work on some important details. We can mention the object, but not next to the expression that we mentioned. It will be something like the ones that you see on screen. That pencil is mine, but we don't say that is mine pencil. No, that pencil is mine. That car is hers. All right, that car or this car is hers. Those guitars are ours. Okay, so, and well, one more time. Even though we are mentioning the object, this object is not next to the pronoun. And if that's the case, this is valid. All right, and there's no other way. If you want to use this order, it has to be like that. Okay, it has to be like that. Then that's option one. All right, just give me 1 second, please. Okay, I had some water. I also took advantage and checked the chat one more time, but well, it's still the same. So that was the first part, the first option. In the second option, if you want to mention the object possession, use of to use it before the adjective pronoun, right? Only in some cases. For example, he's a friend of mine. It is a problem of theirs. Okay, but one more time. This is not something that we need to practice. We don't need to apply it, but we need to know it. And then exceptions. The possessive pronouns can go next to the object in some questions, like these ones, right? Is that pencil hers? Are those books yours? So they're next to one another, but they are not directly connected, because it's like just because of this question that you see them together, right? Is that pencil hers? Yes, it is hers, but we don't say it is pencil hers or it is hers pencil, right? No, it's just because this specific type of order that you have at the beginning is that pencil instead of that pencil is, right? That should be the one. And that's why it gives the false sensation that they are together, but they are not. I mean, because of the possession, or sorry, because of the position of the words in this question, we got this coincidence. But it is what it is, all right? What I told you. What, sorry, are those books yours? Same idea. Then Another way, the most common to ask those questions. All right. So is that her pencil? Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Are those your books? Right? Yes, they are. No, they aren't. And as a subject, it's also possible. Possessive pronouns can be used as subject in a context or as a subject in a context. So let's read what we got. Those are my shoes. Hers, right? Her shoes, but we don't say hers shoes, right? Hers, that's replacing the idea of shoes. Hers are over there. Okay, and then this is my book. Yours is in your backpack. Okay, yours is in your backpack. So again, it's interesting. So you can use this word in many different places. And right now, perhaps we're still taking a look at the characteristics of that song. All right, so that came to my mind. All right, let's then kind of finish with this. The position, it can be subject, it can be object, right? It can be also next to the object just when the order is making that, not because they have to be next to one another, because that's actually impossible. It doesn't make any sense unless you have a question like these ones. All right? They replace the object. That's the idea. And that's very important to know, of course. Then, finishing or about to finish the word, the lesson that we have for today, the question that we have for possession is whose, right? And whose is always going to give us, at least, of course, unless it is, let's say, a negative. In most of the cases, we got this. So, whose car is that? It is mine. Okay. Whose cell phone is this? It's hers. Whose pencils are these? They are ours. Okay, ours. So we want to know who the owner of those right elements is. We want to know who the owner is. So whose car is that? It's mine. Do you like it? Right? And again, that's for possession, and this is for questions related to possession. And then we got extra links to practice and well, all right. I'm going to take advantage because I have to finish the class here. The time that we have left is the time that we use for practice. I cannot cover more because actually I really need you to be here to cover what's left, all right, with you. But for now, again, that's it. We cannot have the survey or those details, so I'm going to be finishing the class directly, okay? I hope I can see you tomorrow, right? I believe that tomorrow you will be at, was it 9:30, right? If not 9:15, it's also a possibility, but it was, I think it was, yes, 9:30, 9:30, right? Yeah, 9:30. So I'm just verifying because I want to be sure I'm not getting confused. It is sometimes confusing, all right? But again, that's it then. Once again, I hope you're in class tomorrow so we can continue working in that way. Also, there is something I gotta tell you. I'm going to do it via WhatsApp directly, okay? So thanks. I'm going to stop this and I'll stop the class. See you tomorrow.